Hello.
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 Hello. It is I. It is us. It is you.
It is us together.
What?
It is us and it is you and it is Mitsua.
I am the kitty.
Mitsua.
Meow, 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 meow.
Hi, hello.
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
I'm Janine.
That was
Mitsua. You know who she is.
She the famous one.
Anyways, hi. We are here with something.
With a story for you
Yeah,
to tell me.
Okay, I'm telling the story. I don't really know how to preface this. Because it's maybe paranormal. I'll just go into it.
Yeah, do it.
Jason and I are
we're the real lady
Oh, we're the real lady killers. That too. We're good at this, right?
We've gotten too comfortable.
I'm going to be talking about some kind of a few different Japanese beliefs.
Okay.
When it comes to spirits and gods. But no, it is all very like Studio Ghibli stuff that I'm going to be kind of talking about.
I'm excited.
You'll recognize some of the key words and stuff. I
like Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm going to do my best to be respectful. I'm not going to pronounce these correctly, I am sure. And I'm sure there's different nuances and dialects, so these might be different in different parts of Japan.
Yeah.
It's all subjective to where you are in Japan. I'm not an expert on it at all. So this is just some of the research that I've done. I just want to preface with that.
The first film that ever made me cry, I think, was a Studio Ghibli film. Yeah, I was Spirited Away. But not because of probably what you think.
It's because
because the pigs thing.
Oh no, they're fucking terrifying.
Well, and like where her parents literally are slowly being morphed into pigs.
It's
and I
not
was just
cute.
literally like, okay. I was like 4 and I was like, okay.
You're like, that's
I was like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm watching this in the theater with my mother and I want to cry.
You're like, it's fine.
My mother's going to turn into a pig. Like,
I'm going to do my best to do this justice, though I'm sure that I don't know the language or the culture, I'm probably going to butcher it a little bit as I do.
Good.
But
I think just talking about a culture and getting some stuff wrong, as long as you're trying your best,
but that's what I want
is different.
Y'all to know that I am doing my best, but I probably am going to mess some of it up. That's inevitable.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do my best. So
if you want to correct us too, I'm sure, like, tell us.
Literally correct me. Like I'm doing my best.
It's not rude. It's not rude if you're like in a polite way being like, hey, it's actually this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, thank you.
Yes.
We wouldn't have known.
Exactly.
Like,
no, please let me know. I mean, So, okay. First, I'm going to kind of talk about the different kind of types of spirits, so you know which one I'm talking about. I wasn't in a really spooky mood lately. I'm going to be talking about yokai, which is just kind of generally ghosty creatures, ghosts and creatures, and yokai is made up, it's the word kanji for bewitching, attractive, or a calamity, and a spectra, like an apparition, mystery, or suspicious, so kanji.
Okay.
I'm mostly going to be talking about yokai and kami. Kami is also the kind of, they're gods, not like god, but I'll get into it.
Are those like the animal god things?
Kind of.
Okay. I watched Fruits Basket.
We watched Fruits Basket.
Like, I think they mentioned kami.
Right.
I don't know.
I can go to, so kami is kind of like, it's, anything can really be a kami or kami. It's kind of just, part of Japanese culture is a deep respect for a lot of things. And so like, it's the kind of like belief that a spirit is in something, and it's not like a ghost and it's not like doing anything, but like a tree can have a kami. It's very Studio Ghibli, whereas in Spirited Away, is it Spirited Away? Probably. No, I'm sorry, it's Totoro, where they're walking through and they're talking about how there's like spirits in the trees and stuff like that. It's very much like that. I'm bad at words, but the best I can relate it to.
So
is
it's like
Ghibli.
living things that have like spirits in them. Like,
and like Jason gave me an example, there is a train station in Japan where a big old tree was a kami. It was like an ancient kami, and they built a train station around it. And so there's just this huge tree like growing in it, but it's sacred, so it goes like around it.
That's beautiful.
And it's not always necessarily like things that they build shrines to, or it's not like this tree
it's
is
just
like...
we need to respect this
Exactly,
thing
yeah.
because it has a spirit around
kind
it.
of,
That's
yeah.
important.
Yeah, it's not necessarily always like this is a tree and it has the goddess spirit of leaves or, you know, or a god spirit of something. So I'll put down, like, I think this is just the kind of like Wikipedia description of it, but it's the spirits or phenomena that are worshipped in the religion of Shinto. Mostly.
Okay, yeah. Shinto Buddhism?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or they can be elements of the landscape, forces of nature, as well as beings and the qualities that these beings express. They can also be the spirits of venerated dead persons. Often royalty are thought to be kami, and they are manifestations of musubi, which is the interconnecting energy of the universe. So, fun fact, really quick, Mitsuha, my cat, she is named after a character from the movie Your Name, but it's all about musubi and the interconnecting of energy and universe through time, with time, yes. They're considered exemplary of what humanity should strive towards, and kami are believed to be hidden from this world and inhabit a complementary existence that mirrors its own, called Shinkai, which literally means the world of kami. And so I mean, I'm sure someone who knows the culture better could explain it way better than I could, but it is very Studio Ghibli. It's just the kind of like energy, the respect that you give to things, and they may or may not be a spirit, but it's what possesses an object. Another form of kind of spirits is kaiden or kwaiden, meaning kai. So the kanji for it is kai, meaning strange, mysterious, rare, bewitching apparition, and dan, which means talk or recited narrative. Kaiden is like The Grudge, horror stories, like The Ring, like creepy stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking there's a really popular, like, I hate being like, there's a popular manga.
No,
but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a popular manga I read when I was like 15 called Fushigi Yugi Genbu Kaiden, which I think now that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be like she's trapped in a dangerous book.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me.
Yes. So the kaiden is the kind of like creepier,
like a creepy narrative.
like horror movie things. I'm not going to be talking about that today. I just wasn't really, I was also home alone whenever I was like researching this, and I was like, I don't really want to do that right now.
Whoa.
So I didn't. So I'm talking about some of the more like, a lot of the more popular yokai and the kind of, you'll see. So, this part was a little confusing to me because I couldn't really figure out how to explain it, because I think it does have to do with different dialects and where you are, and nuances that I'm not aware of. But so yokai is also sometimes called Ayakashi or Mononoke. And they
Princess Mononoke.
Yes, they seem to go hand in hand, but they're not necessarily interchangeable from what I can understand. So Ayakashi, they tend to be kind of like to do with water, and they kind of, or like in or around water. I don't think necessarily water spirits, but a lot of times they're like, if someone sees like vague lights over like a water or like in a mountain kind of area, it's Ayakashi. Now Mononoke are more vengeful spirits. They called or dead spirits or life spirits. And Japanese Mononoke actually comes from China. And there are statements in ancient Chinese literature, and I'll quote this. From what I can understand, there wasn't a word for the ancient Chinese term for Mononoke. They just put the symbols on this page that I was reading, so I'll say it as Mononoke, but I'm not sure what the actual Chinese word for it is.
Okay.
A Chinese quote is, "Those with neither voice nor shape are wrathful gods. Those who cannot have shape or voice and also cannot be without shape or voice are Mononoke." And thus, the Mononoke of China at that time were considered a type of yokai that cannot be seen or heard. And they were thought to be a natural phenomenon people did not understand with the knowledge of those times. So it kind of tends to be, from my understanding, is like if something happened that they weren't sure why it happened, either like an illness or an incident, something of the sort, they didn't know what happened, they didn't have an explanation for it.
Oh, so like
they'd
there's
attribute it to
suddenly an
yokai.
outbreak of like a disease like cholera.
They
but they
attribute
don't
it-
know what the disease is. They're like,
They
people are
at-
just getting sick and dying.
They
Would that
attribute
be-
it to like a yokai, or a Mononoke. They attribute it to some kind of spirit for lack of a better term, that is causing it.
Okay.
So yokai and stuff, they're not necessarily vengeful, they're not necessarily mischievous, though a lot of times they are. Sometimes they don't really have like a purpose, sometimes they're just kind of exist.
Same. I don't have a purpose.
Yeah. So Mononoke were generally believed to be in all things. Such spirits possessed emotions and personalities. It's so funny because I was looking at, there's a type of yokai, forget what it's named, but its purpose is just, it's this little dude who goes into bathrooms and licks them clean, and then that's it. That's all he does. And there's a lot of them that are like that. So it's not necessarily like a god or like a goddess or like a heavenly being kind of figure that you worship. There's just like little yokai for just kind of little funny things like that. Okay, I'm going to be talking about kitsune, which is a fox. It's a Japanese fox. And foxes are kind of like Egyptian cats.
Okay.
They have all kinds to do with like ancient Japanese culture, even today. I mean, you know, like Naruto and Pokemon have the 9-tailed foxes and stuff like that. Like, it's a thing. So, stories depict them as intelligent beings possessing paranormal abilities, and they increase with age and wisdom. According to yokai folklore, all foxes have the ability to shapeshift into human form. But from some stories, it's only when they turn 100 years old. While some folktales speak of kitsune employing this ability to trick others, their ability of being able to shapeshift into human forms. Other stories portray them as faithful guardians, friends, messengers, and lovers, and wives. So I'll get into that.
I like that.
Yes.
So that's creepy in a way, but I like it.
I know. Well, I'll go into it because it's kind of funny. So I mentioned the
it's like Zeus turning into a swan and having sex with a woman. I feel like it's in the same.
It doesn't quite go like that. So I'll go ahead and go into it. So it's basically like there's a lot of folklore and a lot of stories that go, a man will fall in love with this gorgeous woman, get married, realize that she's a fox. And sometimes she ends up being a faithful wife,
How do they realize she's a fox?
Well, I mean, I assume that she, like, accidentally shapeshifts back into a fox or something.
And they're like, wow, a fox in my bedroom.
They're like, oh, hello.
And she's like, it's me.
You're like, hello, it's me. It is I. It's me.
It's just a Snapchat filter, baby.
So it's like sometimes they turn out to be like faithful wives anyway. Sometimes it's just being a fox. It's just a fox being tricky. Like, it's just a trick. So I already mentioned that the whole like fox, the 9-tailed fox and stuff, they're called Kyubi no Kitsune. And the only way to kill a kitsune is to cut off all its tails. It's kind of weird because they say that like there's one main tail that it's kind of like life, it's like power source, like Samson's hair or something. But they don't know which one it is. So they'll end up like in folklore, they'll cut off all of its tails.
But like
because
theoretically you could just cut off one.
Theoretically you could, but there's no way to know which one it is.
So you could just get lucky.
Yeah, you could get lucky. So 1, 5, 7, and 9 tails are the most common numbers in folk stories. When a kitsune gains its 9th tail, its fur becomes white or gold. It's ethereal form. The Zinko, or it literally just means good foxes, are the benevolent celestial foxes associated with the golden Nari and are sometimes simply called Inari foxes. On the other hand, the Yako, literally field foxes, also called Naketsune, tend to be mischievous or even malicious. Yes, there's lots of like kitsune, and then there's lots of like sub kitsune. Yes. Local traditions add further types. You know, Japan is like a smallish kind of place.
Yeah.
But there's so much culture, and in each prefecture, it's different. You know, northwest, it's like.
Well, it's like any place. Like Italy's like that, where it's like one town. I'm Italian, like on my father's side.
Right.
And like. There's like in different towns, like people speak even like a different language slightly.
Right.
And there's totally different lore, and like people have different kind of thoughts about each other. So I'm sure it's the same. Like I do know, for instance, like you get vastly different kinds of places. Like Okinawa is much more like coastal and beachy.
Yeah.
So you get like a very different kind of person than you would get in like Tokyo.
Exactly. It is a weird concept to me because living in America all my life, and not having traveled outside of America a lot, America is all just like,
it's
all kind of the same.
It is.
But it is also a fairly young culture, you know, I mean.
Yeah. No, so it's like we have different kinds of accents, but the fact of the matter is that it's like things are pretty standard here. Like even when I went to London, I noticed like a really interesting thing where it's like status was so depicted so much more than it is in the United States.
Right.
Like how they could tell just by listening to someone if someone was like of an upper class.
Really?
Yeah, because they had a posh sounding voice. And we don't really have that as much, like, or at least we don't stick to it as much. Like, someone can have a really deep Southern accent, and we might be like, oh, like, make assumptions, but then they turn out to be, like, a nuclear physicist, and then we take them seriously.
I mean, you can hear where they're from, because there's a lot of different, like, nuances to people's accents in the U.S., but it's not the same when it comes to, like, culture and beliefs and
like,
stuff.
we all have the same, like, stories, essentially. Like, we're all raised on, like, the same, like
bedtime
Easter
stories
Bunny
and
like the Boogeyman and like what have you.
Yeah. So it's really interesting
Halloween
to me.
Town.
Exactly. Exactly. It's really interesting to me in these kind of cultures where even in a small place, there's so much culture and so many different beliefs when you go from prefecture to prefecture and, you know, around the islands and stuff, and it's really interesting to me. So anyways, so I'm going to go into Shikigamis.
I know Shikigamis.
Do you really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I have seen Death Note.
No. That's a Shimigami. I knew you were going to say it because it's completely different. I'm so sorry. So Shimigami. I'm so sorry. You got so excited.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
So Shimigami are the gods of death.
Yeah.
As you know, if you've seen Death Note, which we have, Shikigami are conjured beings made alive through a complex conjuring ceremony. Their power is connected to the spiritual force of their master, and where the invoker is well introduced and has lots of experience. Their Shiki can possess animals and even people and manipulate them, but if the invoker is careless, their Shikigami may get out of control in time, gaining its own will and consciousness, and even raid its own master and kill them in revenge. This is the best way I can think of, I can like tell you is, so I think of Skyrim or Oblivion, the games, but it happens in a lot of...
It happens
in a lot of games. So it's basically like you get a spell and it'll let you conjure up a familiar. So they're not quite familiars, but they kind of are in the way that like these people can supposedly conjure them up, and they'll do their will and do their bidding, do their dirty work or chores, I don't know. So this is the cool part. So Shikigami are supposedly invisible most of the time, but they can be made visible by binding into small, folded and artfully cut mannequins. There are also Shikigami that can show themselves as animals or birds. So if you've seen Kubo and the Two Strings, I think it's kind of a good example of Shikigami. That's a Shikigami. I love them. Okay, so Kappa. So they're little river monsters that have originally been based on Japanese giant salamanders. They're the little turtle guys from Mario.
Are you for real?
No, yeah. No, they look like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they're based off of giant salamanders.
What?
So they're usually shown drowning people and causing general chaos. But they do have some good qualities.
Like what?
They're kind of like fae, so they're really truthful.
Okay.
They don't really tell lies.
So they're like, I'm gonna kill you.
Exactly, but they're truthful about it. They also like sumo wrestling. So, the mythic kappas did serve some purpose, as they'd be used as, like, parents would say, you can't go in the waters alone because there's kappas out there. So then the kids wouldn't, you know, run off into the water. On family picnics by the river, people would throw cucumbers into the river, as they say that it would, like, satisfy the kappa.
They're like, yes,
some cucumbers.
They're like, we're already in water, but give me more water or food.
Many dangerous sections of Japanese rivers still have, like, little signs that are, like, marked with, like, kappa warning signs. That's like kappa swimming, which is really, really cute, I think. Okay. So The last kind of genre I'm going to be talking about is yurei, which is just kind of ghosts and spirits. So yurei is a wide category of yokai that are essentially ghosts, although in most cases they're technically kami. There's a lot of kind of like overlap where it's kind of like some Mononoke is yokai, but not necessarily the same way around. I don't know the exact classifications, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. But so, some yurei is technically kami. They are spirits who are kept from a peaceful afterlife due to revenge, love, jealousy, hatred, or sorrow. Historically, yurei were taken very seriously, as it was believed that they could cause disasters, famines, or tragedy. In some cases, vast amounts of money were spent to build temples and shrines to appease the angry ghosts. Where yokai stories are often half comical, yurei stories tend to be more intense. So that's kind of a difference between the yokai, which tend to be kind of silly, and yurei are more very serious. Not necessarily scary, but like they're taken more seriously.
So to recap, yokai are the...
just kind of general, the little guy who comes and licks your floor clean.
That's okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yurei are like sad
actual
ghosts. Like, yeah.
They're usually sad, terrifying, or both. In some cases, yurei remain earthbound due to some unfulfilled duty. For example, a type of ghost known as an ambume is a mother who died in childbirth who remains to watch over her child, often bringing them sweets. So yeah, it is kind of more like the spirits that, you know, we'd say haunt asylums or, you know, old hospitals and things like that.
Or it's like if you think like your mother is watching over you or something like that, or your grandmother.
Yeah. And it's usually because they're sad or they have something unfulfilled. So
that's heartbreaking.
So ghosts were once taken really seriously in Japan. For example, ghosts were blamed for earthquakes, tsunamis, typhoons, fires.
The ghost just going like...
He's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. They're not all vengeful and spiteful and like causing havoc. For example, there's a ghost story associated with Himeji Castle about a servant girl named Okiku who spurned the romantic adventures of her samurai master. Enraged, the samurai accused her of losing one of 10 priceless plates, and they threw her down a well to kill her. The ghost of Himeji Castle is Okiko's spirit, who is said to count 9 plates over and over and over again beside the old well.
That's so
yes,
sad.
Yeah, so that's mostly like it's not quite the vengeful spirits as like the Grudge is, but it's not like the yokai, which are just kind of spirits from anything and everything. It's ghosts of people. And they're usually sad, not necessarily vengeful, but they are, you know, they're here, they're connected to the earth because of some sad reason. Yeah. So that's what I got. I hope I did okay. I hope I did okay.
I think you did fine. I had fun.
I really am mostly interested in kami because it's just really cool to me. I don't know, because it's like anything and everything is like something to be respected and something to give respect to, and not necessarily in a worship them kind of way, but like...
No, the connectedness is cool. I think that's why a lot of people are drawn to things like Buddhism and Hinduism, where there seems to be this like interconnectedness. That's simplifying a lot, but yeah. Like the connection that we have with a lot of life forms and stuff like that.
And that is also the concept of like Musubi. Watch Your Name, beautiful movie, just gorgeous movie. The whole concept of Musubi too is that it like everything kind of tangles together, and like a lot of things are Musubi, and there's a quote in it that it's like, if you drink after one person, like that's Musubi or something, like you're connecting your souls kind of thing. Not in a weird like,
no, I get that,
you know, germ kind of way, but it connects people like that. And yeah.
You spooked it.
I spooked it. That's what we got.
So please.
Let me get Mitsuha.
Oh,
good.
So make sure to like, rate, subscribe, hit that bell notification icon so that you get all notifications when we post a new video, and leave a comment down below. Also follow us on all of our social media, including our Instagram, our Twitter, our Reddit, our Tumblr, our Facebook page, all of that down below. Make sure you keep up with us. Bye. Janine, say bye.